Hello, folks! The Celtic Nerd here, bringing you another nerdy video. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, by the image to my, uh, I would say right, yes, or left. Well, my left, your right. I'm going to be talking about the live-action One Piece adaptation. Now, I am going to try and do a video per episode because One Piece is something I'm a big fan of. I do try and not do anime videos because there's just so much, and the animes that I'm currently interested in, I'm very late to the game on that, especially with One Piece, which is one of my all-time favorite animes slash mangas. Now, I just watched episode one, and I have some thoughts on it. Okay, casting choice, great so far. The actor choice, good. Casting choice, great. Actually, no. You know what? Let's rewind. Before I start talking about this show, there is some I do want to clarify, and that is sorry, I am dealing with my allergies right now, so I need to actually keep this nearby. I even took my inhaler to help with my breathing, because unfortunately my allergies affects my asthma, and it's a whole story. So if I even you might I'm not even I can hear it when I talk, like my nasal stuff, like, so I'm not sure if you guys can. I'm actually going to move my mic down here, and something I'm going to try and start doing for all my videos, because I have noticed with my Zelda videos, sometimes I sound a lot quieter than what I'm actually talking. So I have a little desk next to me, so I'm just going to move my mic over here. Okay, so before I get into talk about episode one, I do want to clarify. Oda has apparently completely signed off on everything. He was apparently involved in every single episode, folks. So no, I have my own. I have some critiques, and again, like, but ultimately he signed off on it, so it is what it is. If he, I'm not the creator, that guy's the creator. If he says this is a great live action adaptation, then it is a great live action adaptation. So keep that in mind. Like I'm not going to disagree with the creator of the actual source material. That's like saying to Tolkien, "Oh, your elves are stupid." Like, they're his fucking elves, you know. If he decides to make some change, if he made changes to the elves and stuff, then that's him. In fact, he even had a sequel to Lord of the Rings written, and if people like disagreed with that stuff, then yeah, no, it's his stuff. It's the same reason why I defended the re-releases, some of the changes that he made to the original trilogy, because like I watched interviews, and he was like, if I had the technology, I would make some changes. There was things that I wanted to add, but I was limited by the technology. So, like, it again. Oda has signed off on it. Now, is it a great show? That's a different story. That'll be a completely different story. Now, so like the main thing I'm going to be talking about this in terms of One Piece is I'll be comparing it as a standalone. I'll be talking about it as a standalone show, like with absolutely no comparisons to One Piece. Like objectively, because this show could be someone's introduction to One Piece. So keep that in mind, folks. Some people might be coming into this completely blind, so their opinions are going to be completely different. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be trying to keep in mind. Now, then I'll give my opinion as a One Piece fan, right? And I'll be talking about some of their changes that I agree with, some of their changes that I disagree with. Okay? So I just want to clarify that Oda. I wanted to first point out that Oda was apparently very involved in this live action adaptation, which could explain a lot of the breaks. He's been taking more breaks recently with the manga. So besides from the time when he had to get his eye surgery, so this show could completely explain like his involvement in the show. And the thing is, Oda is not even involved that much in the anime. Keep that in mind, folks. He's rarely involved with the anime. He will step in, especially during filler arcs and movies, to point out like, no, you cannot use this devil fruit. No, this character cannot have this power because he has plans for that power later down the line. So that's most of his involvement in terms of the anime and the movies. So we have to keep that in mind. This is a guy who doesn't really get that much involvement outside of the actual manga. And yet, apparently, he was very involved in his live action adaptation. So we need to keep that in mind. So, going into this show, in terms of episode 1, Romance Dawn, which again, great because that was his first manga. Going into it as a completely blind person, great setup. You pretty much we're introduced to the three main characters roughly off the bat. We see Nami throughout the episodes doing her own thing. We even cut away to Roronoa Zoro, and like very much we get a sense of their characters in their brief introductions. Like Nami's first introduction is we see her pretending to be, lost at sea, and she robs from two pirates. Great. Gives a great explanation. Oh, sorry, I should also point out, folks, there will be spoilers of this episode, me talking about this episode, and there will also be spoilers of the arc that they're currently in. Actually, I'm going to try and keep that sort of limited. I'm going to be comparing it to when I do the comparison section, I'll be focusing on the episodes that are effectively the adaptations. So here we go. We're up to this point, at least in this saga. So I'm going to try and keep it to here. So, immediately so with this bit of introduction, we immediately know Nami is not maybe is not a strong fighter. She uses her brains rather than her brawn to get what she wants, and we know she is very sneaky. She knows she's very good at lying and play acting. Like to pretending to be a damsel in distress to secretly then get on someone's ship and steal it. Great. That's all that immediately tells us who she is. We also then see her opening up like a journal. Maybe it's at first you might think it's notes, but then it turns out it's a bunch of maps. So immediately that tells us that she cares a lot about maps and she's collecting them. That is absolutely great. Our immediate introduction to Roronoa Zoro is someone trying to recruit him. To this mysterious group, and he flat out denies them, and we get his attitude of I'm my own man, like you don't tell me what to do. So and then we immediately get led into a sword fight, which again great. They immediately also touch on the fact that like he's very clearly inspired by samurai, which is something that stands out a fair. Besides from most people having katanas, he doesn't his choice of weapons does not stand out too much in terms of normal One Piece, but the way he carries himself does stand out typically, and immediately he's standing out. Like, you think he's a samurai, like he's doing this whole special like prayer thing, and again there's a bit of mystery to him, and again that is very much the case with Roronoa Zoro during the early stages. And again, I know I'm slipping into the comparisons, but context. So like we're immediately introduced to a mysterious swordsman, but the thing is they don't give everything away. immediately. So if you hear any background noise, it's my three dogs. They're on the bed. So there are our three characters out of the five that are on the poster. So we also let's actually we haven't talked about the man himself, Luffy. Immediately, like after the opening scene with Goldie Roger, we are immediately introduced to Luffy being happy-go-lucky, actively trying to recruit a seagull to join his crew, and how he's excited and just happy. Again, we know what this character's about, and then a little bit later, he's talking about dreams, and he's encouraging someone he just met. Hey, go after your dreams. Like, don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. Like, so immediately we're given like the key aspect of that character. Very good. So yeah, that's the first introduction of the three main characters. Again, casting choice was amazing. The costume design is great. I can believe that these characters are the characters. Now let's actually talk about the opening scene. Great. The narrator is the actor who played Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean. He's some people may know him as the manager of the Continental from John Wick. Amazing choice as the narrator. Amazing. And I love how we get a much more expanded scene of Gold. So we get a big execution scene with Goldie Roger. I'm trying to focus on the not just going into a blind. So someone going in completely blind, we're immediately told that this is a world of this is a vast world where we're shown that the Marines are the good guys, that the and that this apparent pirate king is after throwing the world into chaos. And that we're sort of showing the perspective that he might be a little insane. We're showing clips of different people like intently watching the execution. Once he's executed, chaos is unleashed after he says a few words, and everyone runs out, and the Marine who is leading the execution looks visibly worried. So but again, great costume designs, and also I love the Den mushies. We're in like towards the end of the episode where we see what they use as long distance communications. They're the snails. They're these like snail things that like seemingly are able to communicate long distances, and the way they call is great. It's brr, 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 brr. Like it sounds like they're on vibration, like a classic sound that you would get on a phone when it vibrates on a table. The show is packed with action. It's absolutely great. It's packed with action. We get a really cool fight sequence between with these three characters working together, particularly these two characters. We see them working together very well. A little too well for people who just met. Their actions are not entirely coordinated, but there are moments where they pull off some fight. There are some moments where it's like, really, you guys just met and you're pulling that type of stuff. But other times they're getting in each other's way, which is absolutely great. You want to see those type of like mistakes in a show where these people are fighting together and they don't really know how each other's fights, and so they're getting in their way. The interaction, I just love how also Luffy just is blatantly just talking of like he's just constant when he meets every time he meets someone new, he's like, what made you do this? Why do you want to do this? What do you want? He's constantly just like he's really interested in what motivates people and what do they want, you know. And then he encourages them to go for it, to the point where even though he just met Zoro, he's like, wait, he immediately starts untying him from being like he's tied up in a yard. Luffy immediately starts untying him so that he can go out and go after his dreams. He doesn't care. He's like, oh, you want to be the world's greatest swordsman? All right, well, you can't do that tied up. And he unties him, and then he's like, hey, close this behind me, would you? Thanks. And he just leaves. So great sort of character. Like, this character is stupid. He does not think things through, but he is very happy-go-lucky. He just assumes everything's going to work out, and so far they are. So, it ends with a fantastic cliffhanger of the Marine that we saw at the start of the show being like, change your plans, we're going to Shelltown. And then he hears about it, gets a report about a Straw Hat pirate stealing the map. So action is amazing, costumes design is amazing, casting choice is amazing, and the actual acting is amazing. It's a little over the top because of the source material, but at the same, because there is a bit of comedy to the show, so some of their moments are a little over the top, but again, that's the point, and it is meant to also be funny. So absolutely amazing. They're one of my funniest moments in this episode so far. The first episode so far was, there's this brat who is posing in front of a mirror naked, and then Zoro walks in and immediately grabs a teddy bear that wears a little marine suit, but clearly the teddy bear has long blonde hair like the character, so he clearly modeled the teddy bear after himself, and he's using it to cover himself. It's funny. That scene did not go where I thought it was gonna go. I thought Zoro was gonna kick the guy out the window naked, or have everyone see him naked. Didn't go that way, but okay. Subverted my expectations, and that's a nice way to do it. So, looking at this with not also, the show is definitely. There is one thing I want to talk about. Looking at this from trying to look at this from an outsider of the One Piece fandom, I will say there's a lot more blood in it than I expected. Like, it's just, oh my god. Some of those moments, I'm like, oh wow. Oh wow. There's a guy that gets bisected, halfway through the episode. And then, we see a guy get his face caved in, within the first part of the episode. So yeah, it's this show's not afraid to get bloody. So again, great. I will say it's absolutely amazing. It's an amazing show, straight off the bat. As an outsider, great. Now to talk about it in comparison to the episodes. Now this first episode is actually a compressed. Hold on. It's a bit awkward now. My Why did you jump down? Hold on, folks. My dog jumped off the bed. Now he wants back up on the bed, but he's too small to jump onto the bed. So I need to pick him up and give him a little toss. Okay. So. Okay. So this. Okay. So the Romance Dawn arc is the first. Okay. Great. So. This first episode is essentially the first volume of One Piece. It's basically the very first episode is volume 1. The manga chapters are 1 to 7. Anime episodes is 1 to 4. So we're basically now. Keep in mind, I do want to point out that this show, each episode is how long? Give me a sec. I'm trying to get the. There we go. Now this episode is just about an hour long. If I take the credits into it, if I remove the credits, it's 1 hour long. So typically, the One Piece episodes were about discounting commercials and discrediting intro and outro. We're talking 25 minutes? No, 20 minutes. So roughly 20 minutes an episode. So you typically in this time frame you could fit 3 episodes in if you were to watch them completely back to back. While skipping the intro and outro, which I wouldn't because I love the song "We Are," but yeah, it's one. You can typically fit the first 3 episodes in the time span of the length of this episode, which is not bad. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think each episode keeps up that pace. I highly doubt it. I'll be curious if they do, but yeah, it's episodes 1 to 4 basically in terms of the anime. So let's see. Let's talk about the comparison of let's compare the Goldie Roger scene in the manga / anime to the live action. Gold Roger actually he says wealth, fame, power, like I collected all these things and I left it all in that place. That's what he says. Oh, and it's yours to hold on, actually, I'm gonna try and actually get the actual scene because it's been a while since I've seen myself. He does say something different, mind you. I will say their D. Roger, absolutely amazing. The live action Goldie Roger, loved it. Let's see here. Goldie Roger execution. Now we want the anime. I will say they toned down the length of his beard. So actually, I should probably, for copyright reasons, I should probably actually Google it and read it out. Roger speech. Here we go. Now, I will say the first couple of seasons of One Piece always begin the same way. Okay? Starting with hold on. Since beginnings have been seen a number of anime, starting with episode 284. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, so here it is. I need to zoom in for some reason because they made that text really goddamn small. Okay, so here's the opening of One Piece. From for the earliest seasons, they always had this narration, and then they cut to the actual opening theme song. Wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, attained this and everything. Sorry, it keeps bouncing down. Goddamn adverts. Bloody hell, like, it's bouncing the goddamn text. You know what? It's hard to read when the text is moving. Okay, it seems to be staying still. Okay, you know, it's moving again. Okay, you know, I'm going to copy and paste this into a notepad or something like that. Sorry, folks. Again, I don't really write scripts for my videos. I like to keep them raw and, you know, as little editing as I can. So here we're just going to quickly copy and paste this. Oh my god. Why did it... I hate when you try and copy like a text, but then just as you right click, oh my god, is it not letting me copy and paste? Control C. There we go. Sometimes they won't let you right click. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's make that text a bit bigger. Let's go to my usual 20. Here we go. All right. So. They changed this. So that's what a remix our narration followed. Oh, that's the movie. Uh, uh, there's the original text. Okay, sorry, folks. Um, they have changed it over the course of the show, so we're just sorry. We're gonna get the original. All right, so this is like going back ages. Okay, there we go. And now we're gonna make this bigger so I can read it. There it is. Yeah, because they do change it. There were some other movies where they basically remixed it. Okay, so this is the one from the Romance Dawn arc. Okay, wealth, fame, power. There once was a man who obtained it all, the Pirate King, Gold Roger. His last words at the execution stand sent people from all over the world out to sea. My wealth and treasure. Ah, my wealth and treasure. It can be yours if you want it. Search for it. I left everything in that place. Sorry, in that one place. Men now set sail for the Grand Line in search of romance. The world has entered a great pirate era. So that's I believe that's more from the manga rather than the actual episode, but it's pretty much it like sorry like this speech has been remixed a lot. Um, Episodes 284 Grand Battle because like there's some extras here that I do not recognize. Um, there we go. Narration opening. Yeah, it's anyway. That's roughly the gist. I can't for some reason this wiki is giving me a bunch of the different ones, and it's not actually giving me the exact one. But again, it's pretty much that. There is no mention of the romance originally. But again, I understand why that might have been in the what's it called? Maybe the Japanese, and it with like that's the actual translation of what was being said. But then they changed it for the English dub and the English subtitles because the idea of the romance is a bit confusing. But again, the original manga he started off with was Romance Dawn, which is the title of the first episode and the opening story arc. So, um, so yeah, that's essentially it. Um, he has a slightly different speech. He doesn't mention in that place or that one place. He just says you can find it, and that's it. That's what starts the pirate era. Um, so that is the first initial change. It's okay. Also, we get Roger getting. We actually see Roger getting properly stabbed. Like they typically don't show it, but like this time they did, and we see all different pirates showing up. We see Mihawk. We see Shanks. We see a female pirate. I don't know who she is yet. But yeah, we see a bunch of different pirates, like reacting to this. We see Garp. Again, casting choice is absolutely amazing. Love it. Um, Garp is like Garp looking, a little horrified about like the fact what he's saying. Garp is Goldie Roger is not flinching at the prospect that this is his execution. Like immediately when he says any last words, and he's like, "Can you take these off? They itch a little." And again, people who are up to date on the manga and anime, they understand what's going on with Gold Roger. His name is shortened to Gold Roger, but in the I hope they bring it up at some point in the live action that his real name is Gold D Roger. It's D is his middle name, so his first name is Gold. So, but yeah, immediately he's laughing. He has a constant smile on his face. Absolutely amazing. Now let's talk about the opening scene with Luffy. Big change here is Nami. We originally introduced to Nami aboard. We don't even see Luffy originally in the opening episodes or manga. We just see a barrel floating towards a whirlpool. And sorry, we see a barrel being rescued from a whirlpool by a cruise ship, essentially. And we see Nami, possibly looking to steal some stuff. She's just relaxing, flirting, doing her Nami thing. And then that's when the cruise ship gets attacked by Alvida and her crew. Nami eventually sneaks aboard Alvida's ship. She steals it, and all that stuff. And then Luffy, inside the barrel, is then taken aboard Alvida's ship. That's the big difference here. There is no whirlpool. There's no cruise liner. We see basically Luffy is talking to a bird, a seagull. Clearly, it's one of the seagulls that delivers the news in the One Piece universe, and his ship is sinking. So he's like, "Oh well," and he empties out a barrel of that's supposed to be fish or anchovies, I guess, and he gets in, to keep himself from drowning, and then that barrel floats while he's asleep towards a naval battle between Alvida and this other ship. We're not. It's a much smaller ship than Alvida's, which sort of fits because Alvida has a tiny bounty compared to all the other pirates we're introduced to in the East Blue. I don't think we ever saw anyone with a smaller bounty as hers, except for Chopper. But the thing is, keep in mind, Chopper is considered to be a pet. He's not viewed as a crew member. He's viewed as a pet. So yeah, Alvida's ship is much bigger than that, and again, it sort of makes sense that she has an inflated ego of herself. She's clearly only going after small fry, so which will explain why her bounty is not big. But yeah, her crew just take the barrel on board. Now we do not get the classic scene of Luffy bursting out of the barrel, going, "That was a great nap." We don't get that. We just get Luffy sneaking out of the barrel as Kobe is cleaning Alvida's thing. Now this is one of the first bloody scenes we get. Is Alvida executing someone? She's apparently inquiring about Roronoa Zoro. She assumes he must be hunting her, so she wants to keep tabs on this pirate hunter. And apparently, he was on this small boat that she's after. Turns out, no. Well, he's not after her. They saw a list and he was like, her name wasn't on the list. Her being upset because in her mind, she's the strong. Here's another big change. Alvida was obsessed with beauty, and the question she kept. Well, she did ask like, "Who's the strongest pirate?" At one point, But her main question, her catchphrase was, "Who's the most beautiful pirate in the East Blue?" And then her crew would shout, "Alvida!" and or "You are." So she had an inflated ego of her own self beauty. I can sort of see why they took that out. I can understand that change. And also it's a small change. It does not really dilute her character too much because again, both are veins of ego. So small minor change, none too big. Um, Kobe does not give his origin story of how he ended up on Alvida's ship. It's again small minor difference. No need to have it in the live action, so I'm fine with that change. Um, Luffy more so just he only slaps Kobe once. He doesn't punch him at all, and all the other times he did punch Kobe because he was like, and because Kobe was talking down about his own dream, and Luffy doesn't like that, so he punches him. He's like that, and then Kobe asks like, "Why did you punch me?" He's like, "Cause I felt like it." um, Luffy more so only does it because of no. Don't talk bad about your dream. It's your dream. Hold on to that. Show out your dream proudly. And so yeah, Luffy is just like, why don't you leave? Yeah, they just get into conversation about like good pirates, bad pirates, like what's your dream, and eventually, uh, Kobe tries to help Luffy escape. Luffy accidentally wakes up the entire ship, as you would expect, and then we get a demonstration of the fact that Luffy has a the Gum Gum Nafu. Um, but I will say one big change I do love, and the design change that I do love. Sorry, two big changes. Sorry, one, Alvida's cannonballs have painted hearts on them, right? But get this, they're also filled with glitter. I love that. I absolutely loved it. It is fantastic that they decided to replace the fit like that, and I can see it. Someone who has like hearts painted all over her stuff. I can see Alvida filling pink glitter into her cannonballs. It's hilarious. Um, but yeah, another change is in the anime and I think in the manga, her club looks like it has more spikes to it than rounded points. It's supposed to be more like a mace, you know, as opposed to a konobo, which is a an Eastern club type weapon with like round notches in it, like cause a bit more of an impact. As opposed to it's more of a blunt weapon than a spiked weapon. A konobo is. And the thing is, now this is in the early days, manga artists, I will say, manga artists are not afraid to retcon. They tend to make changes and they realize, okay, this does not make sense from what I initially said. And, they do make changes. So I can understand why this was overlooked in the manga and then eventually in the anime. But I do like how they changed it for the live action. Luffy is supposed to be immune to anything that does not have a point or a sharp edge. He has the Gum and Gum no Mi. His body is he's a Paramesa Devil Fruit, which means his body has been altered. And now this is the case with many Paramecia types, especially those that have very specific properties, like they transform your body into certain things. For example, like there's believe it or not, there's a fruit that turns your body into crackers. That made the person expressly more weaker. He's more fragile, but he's still a strong fighter. Um, Luffy's Devil Fruit is constantly like again, some Devil Fruits are constantly active, some are not. And Luffy's is one of the categories of Paramecia types where his Devil Fruit is always active. So his body is always permanently rubber. He cannot turn it on and off. It's not an active decision. Now he, because of his immense strength, he is able to whip his arm back, and stretch it a good bit, for those classic punches of his. Also, they seem to make Luffy a little bit weaker than he initially is. But anyway, so blunt objects, including bullets, because the bullets that they're using in the One Piece world are, they had the classic musket bullet, the steel ball. They don't have, like, the tip, the rounded tip, the aerodynamics design bullets of our modern age. Their bullets are just balls, and because of that curvature of that ball, it also makes them immune to bullets. Technically, the speed and velocity of that bullet should still sort of pierce him, but as long as it's not a sharp edge or a pointed tip, he is effectively immune to it. And we see Luffy now. Now this is where it gets sort of funny, because even in the manga and the anime, even though this is a thing in the anime and manga, Luffy still dodges. He doesn't just let people punch him. He still dodges and he still blocks. The only time when he doesn't is when he's just having fun. And generally it's after he assesses people's weaknesses. Now, he doesn't really dodge bullets all too much because he likes to turn it against them, and we see that in the live action. He gets shot point blank in the chest and he just goes boom, and bounces it back. We do eventually see him block, like, just take a hit from Alvida's club, which is hilarious, because he's like, it goes down and then he springs back up and it knocks her club. I will say, they sort of also weakened Alvida, because in the anime and manga, she swings that massive club like nobody, like it's no problem to her. Like in the world of One Piece, the characters are a lot stronger than their physical appearance would, depict. So Alvida, like, even though, like, now she's a big woman, but clearly there is some strength behind her, so she's able to swing that club no problem. In the live action, they have her sort of clumsily fighting. I'm like, okay, it sort of fits with the fact that she has a low ass bounty, but at the same time, if this is going to be the trend that we're seeing, like, where some characters are going to have spontaneous moments of immense strength, but then some characters are going to be realistically weak, it's going to be it's going to be that inconsistency that's going to hurt the show, in my opinion, a little bit. But yeah, that's some of the changes in terms of episode 1 and that bit. There is a scene with the introduction. There's a change in the introduction to Zoro. In the manga and anime, we're first introduced to him when he's already hanging up, because he's supposed to be there for about a week or 2 weeks or 30 days, as part of his deal, and we find out how he got into that situation in a flashback. We don't in this. We see Luffy sees Zoro actually fight in a bar fight. Not bad scene again. Like, I will say, a lot of the changes done to the first 4 episodes is something that I entirely agree with. Like, they are cool changes, they are interesting changes, they help this show stand apart from the... See, that's another thing. With the live action, I do not want a carbon copy. I don't want that. I want a faithful adaptation, but I don't want a carbon copy. It's I know it's a fine line that I'm asking. Like, be different, but not too different. I know it seems like I'm asking, like, the world, but I know that, again, this show so far is delivering it on except for the part where I said about the inconsistency of the human strength in this world. Now, there is one thing I do want to point out. And I totally get why they're probably making this change. Okay? I want to clarify that. Okay. As I said previously, Nami was introduced using brains over brawn, and we see that again. Now, don't get me wrong, we seen Nami knock out pirates or whatever to get a disguise. We've seen that in the anime, and we've seen that in the manga. Okay, that is clear. I'm not begrudging the scene where she knocks out the marine to steal his uniform. Okay, what I what I disagree with is we towards the end of the live action episodes, uh, and oh sorry, this is also a big change. A big change in that particular four episodes. Not all the Marines are corrupt on in Shelltown. It's quite literally Axan Morgan and his son. They're the two. Now, mind you, I love how they treated Helmeppo. The changes they made to Helmeppo are hilarious. I love it. Yes, keep those changes are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Axan Morgan, Gray. I even like how in live action they're like his whole body is like, a weapon. Because again, like even though his claim to fame with Axan Morgan is technically false. Again, as I said, I did warn about spoilers. He was still a Marine. He was still trying to fight, and he probably would have kept up some level of training after becoming a captain. So all of this makes sense. So I do like how I do like how they made Axan Morgan more of a threat. Like I like how they elevated him, as opposed to him being a simple mini boss essentially. I do like how they elevated his fighting skill for the live action. Now, but all the Marines there don't like working for Axan Morgan. They are very much not corrupt, and none of them die in terms of this opening episode. However, because like most of them are taken out of the fight very quickly. They first try and execute Zoro with guns, and Luffy gets in the way, blocks the bullets, and then ricochets them all back at them, missing the Marines because like he scattershotted them. So luckily enough, none of the Marines were hurt. And then they're all scared of Luffy. Axel Morgan's like, "I'll kill you if you don't kill them." And then they draw their swords and they're all charging at Luffy, about to execute him because they realize, okay, well, shooting's not going to work. That's when Zoro quickly grabs his three swords from Luffy and then blocks all the attacks while he's saving, because like Luffy's too busy saving Kobe to block or dodge the Marines that are charging him. And that's when Zoro, blocks all the techniques with his swords, and then Luffy's like, "Get down," and then he does Gumma Gumma no Whip to knock out all the other Marines, and then it's just him and Axan Morgan fighting. So none of the Marines died, but in the live action, the way Zoro's fighting seems like they're dead. Because like those Marines, like they're happy once Morgan's defeated, they are happy to arrest Morgan, Axan Morgan, and his son. Like they're happy to do it. So it's just very strange. Like that change is also very strange to me, because it means Ronor's Zoro just killed a bunch of Marines. Also, the other change is Luffy, like Nami and Luffy and Zoro are not supposed to meet this early. They meet actually the following episode. Now, Nami and Luffy have seen each other passing by on occasion, but they haven't said anything to each other. They just see each other and they just go on their separate ways. It's not until the next episode, episode 5, does Luffy and Nami actually start having words with one another. Like, they have conversation. So, yeah, that's another change that they did. They have Nami and Luffy meet up And also, Luffy's not adamant about them joining his crew. As I said, he all he does in the live action is he asks them, like, "Oh, why did you become this? What's your dream? Like, what's your goal?" And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." Now, towards the end of the episode, he does say, "We're a crew," but like in the anime, when Luffy asks Zoro, and in the manga, when Luffy asks Zoro, like, "Join my crew," Zoro's like, "No," and he was like, "No, I decided." And then Zoro shouts out, "Don't go making decisions for me. I said I'm not going to be a pirate, so I'm not going to be a pirate." And Lou's like, "No, I've already decided you're going to be a part of my crew." Like, that's another key characteristic with Luffy, and it's been carried over with Sanji. It was with Frankie. It was also done with Chopper. Like and it was also done with Brooke. Once Luffy decided he wanted someone on his crew, he would hound them. Like, even when he had an opportunity to leave the Baratie without Sanji to continue his adventure, he was like, "No, I'm gonna hang around. I want Sanji to be my cook. I've decided he's gonna be my cook, so I'm sticking around." Like, that's the level of commitment Luffy generally gives to recruiting people, and the fact that he gives up so quickly with Zoro is a bit out of character. But again, these changes are acceptable. It's a small minor change. We'll probably see, this was a setup, like the scene that I described with the original setup I said with Zoro, like Luffy just refusing to accept Zoro's refusal. That led into the whole Baratie and the other scenes later down the line. So I'm curious about how this change is going to affect those scenes. If those scenes, now, so I'm just curious about like how is that going to reflect, going forward. It's not a major change. I'm not like, "Oh my god, they completely ruined Luffy." No, they didn't ruin Luffy. So, fine change, small change, it's okay. Now we're finally now getting to the big change. That this is something that I'm horrified to talk about because I know what people are like. I've seen what people are like on the internet, and this is what I'm worried about. Okay, this is what I'm worried about because I've seen what people are like on the internet. Not, and I've been building up to it. I've talked about how Nami has knocked out a few people to and gotten to disguises, and she is fairly talented with her bow staff. There's when it comes to the Straw Hat crew, okay, when it comes to the Straw Hat crew, there are two general terms. Okay, there's the Monster Trio. Now I don't know how that fares up nowadays. The Monster Trio was I think originally coined actually in the manga and anime. Like, I think it was either, now keep in mind the phrase that I'm about to say were coined by the characters. I cannot remember the exact characters that say it, but they were coined originally within the universe. D- um, it was either Usopp, Nami, or Chopper that first coined Monster Trio. And I'm pretty sure it was Usopp that coined the next phrase I'm about to say. But we'll talk about the Monster Trio first. The Monster Trio refers to the three strongest characters, and again, and it's because they are freakishly strong. And of course, they refer to Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. They're the Monster Trio. Now, again, the power scaling of the One Piece crew members is a little skewed now, with the joining of Jinbei and Frankie and even Nico. The next trio, again, Usopp referred to this, and he referred to it even after the time skip. Keep that in mind, folks. He referred to himself and two other crew members as the Cowardly Trio afterwards. Okay? The Cowardly Trio is Usopp, Chopper, and Nami. They got this. Usopp referred to them as this because of how scaredy cat like they are. Now, Usopp and Chopper and Nami, like, especially when Nami gets her Kaim attacked, um, like, okay, yeah, like Usopp and Chopper do fight way more than Nami, and but like the thing is, Nami, up until she gets her Kaim attacked, she doesn't actually fight. I'm trying to like think. Like, don't get me wrong, she is skilled with her bow staff. We've seen her use her bow staff, and she is quite good at using it. Um, but I'm trying to think in terms of fighting, like, what has she done? You know, I'm trying to think right now. In the East Blue arc, we see her skills with the bow staff. She even manages to block against three of what's his name, Boogie's crew members. We know she can assemble her three-part staff very quickly. Now, mind you, that it's extendable in the live action. So yeah, in the East Blue arc, she does no fighting, but she does show that she has some talent with the bow staff. Then in the first half of the Grand Line, before she gets the climb attacked, um, in Whiskey Peak, she pretends to be drunk to sneak around and steal treasure. In Little Garden, she doesn't really fight. She's willing to fight, but she doesn't. She's too sick to do anything in Drum Kingdom. And it's and so yeah, the first time, excluding fillers, the first time we see her actually properly fight someone is in Alabasta when she fights the woman with the spike fruit, and that's when she has her climb attack because she's using her knowledge of the weather to fight. So yeah, folks, Nami does not fight. She could, but she doesn't because she's a coward. She absolutely avoids it. She is a thief. She avoids the fighting and she tends to sneak around stealing treasure. Now again, that stuff starts changing when she gets the climb attacked, and when she then gets the more stronger version of. Now the climb attack keeps getting stronger as the show goes on, but like, and her fighting skill does go up as well because of her knowledge of weather. Also grows stronger. But yeah, Nami doesn't fight, but in the live action we see her fighting alongside Luffy and Zoro, fighting the Marines. I do not agree with that. That is a big character change. That is a big character change, in my opinion. And I just don't agree with it. Nami is supposed to be the brain. She's supposed to be the thief. She's supposed to be sneaking around, stealing stuff. She's supposed to have like sly comments as she does it. She's supposed to have she's supposed to comment on like, well, while you guys are doing this, I'm gonna do that. And I love the moments that when she does it, like when she gets caught and then like something happens. Like it's a big character change, and I just can't get behind it. It's really weird. So yeah, folks, I just don't agree with that as a character. Now I know I'm opening myself to be comment like people being like, "Oh, you're against women or you're against strong female characters." I'm not. Like Nami, realistically, Nami is the like arguably one could argue Nami's the captain because of the amount of time she reels in Luffy's recklessness. She's the voice of reason. She's the only intelligent person on the crew for the longest time. And also, like, I have no problem with Nico Robin. Nico Robin is way stronger than most of the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates. That's why I disagree with the whole monster trio. Uh, because I think that coin was phrased after Nico joins, and Nico, in my opinion, can easily take out Zoro. She could easily take out Sanji. In my opinion, up up for the long for up at to a certain point, she was the second strongest crew member. The only person she would not be able to fight easily would be Luffy, and that's because of the fact that his whole body stretches. So even her signature move, clutch, could not. Oh, and also I just love Nicholas fighting style. The fact that she always goes like this, but then when she execute people, she goes when she. Here's another thing. She probably has the highest body count of all the Straw Hat Pirates. Because she's not afraid to when she grows her hands, and this is why she's a badass, because she does it so cold and so calculated. She's my second. She's my second favorite Straw Hat. Easily, she will grow their hands, grab people by their necks, and then and she does it like clutch. Like she just goes. She says whatever she said in French, the number, and then bloom and flower or whatever. She does her whole pose, and then she just goes clutch, and snaps their necks. Like, she's a badass. She's a complete and total badass. Easily, again, easily the second strongest Straw Hat until maybe Frankie joins. I think Frankie could take her, but yeah, she can easily defeat most of the Straw Hat Pirates because of her devil fruit powers. But yeah, Nami, however, her fighting, her fight talents. Again, I suppose you could extend this to showing off that she's good with the staff. But if this is a going trend where she actively keeps on fighting, if she keeps fighting on this level throughout the rest of the East Blue arc, and then going throughout the rest of the story, it is a big character change, and now again, it's a character change that I don't like. Oda agrees with, so fine. If he says it's fine, it's fine. It's just my opinion. I like the fact that Nami was not a fighter. She calculated, she made plans, and she avoided fighting. I like that she was. Again, I liked how Usopp and Nami basically reflected normal people in the One Piece world. Or you could say they were the audience. They're seeing these massive fights and they're like, no. I'm not getting involved in that. No. And that's the thing. A lot of times, even when Nami was insulted or when someone was talking shit, Nami would push Zoro into the fights. And yeah, I remember she even blackmails Zoro a lot of the times to fight on her behalf. And then she would, now mind you, with Sanji she just tells Sanji to fight and Sanji fights. But but a lot of times she didn't fight. So it is a big change in character. Alright folks, I talked about episode 1 as long as episode 1 was. I feel like I'm very fair to the live action. Credit where credit is due. This is by far the best live action adaptation of an anime I've seen. I've watched the Death Note movies. I saw the Dragon Ball movie. Oh boy, the Dragon Ball movie. I saw FMA. This One Piece live action adaptation is clearly the best. Again, I do want to say another good thing. A big expanded scene that we got was Zoro's introduction. Now, this is something I loved because Zoro only mentioned it once. He mentioned it back. He mentioned it in the Alabaster arc, I think it was, or it was in the not Drum Kingdom. He mentioned it either in Alabaster or at Whiskey Peak. I cannot remember which of those two locations he said it, but he talks about how. Oh no, no! He mentioned it in Whiskey Peak, how someone tried to recruit him into the organization, and then he took them out. That was mentioned. Yeah, and I don't think he dropped the number, but we see that scene unfold in the live action. So I think that was a very cool addition, and I sort of do like how they're name dropping this organization, because again, we are led to believe that this organization, this mysterious organization, is doing stuff, like in the manga and the anime, but like we never heard of them until they enter the Grand Line. So I do sort of like how they're sort of like whispering about it a little bit. They're dropping hints. It may not be very well known, but some people are clearly aware of it. In terms of Garp, like Garp clearly knows about the organization, and realistically, given what we know about Garp, it is very believable he would hear about this organization and he will personally pursue it. Um, but like I do like how he's the only official that we seem to know that seems to know about it, and I do like that. Again, I like the business card approach. I do find it weird that that's what Zoro's trying to collect a bounty on, because given what we know about the organization, would there would the numbered agents have bounties? I feel like the numbered agents shouldn't have bounties, just because like of the nature of the organization, and their numbered agents, which are their strongest agents, having bounties is a little weird. Because even Mr. One didn't to my recollection doesn't have bounty. Also, I love the bounty poster transitions. Like we see a bounty poster flow up in front of the character after they're introduced with their name and with their bounty, and then they do something to get rid of it. Alvida knocks her bounty up with her Kanabo, and then we see Boogie. Yeah, we see Boogie towards the end, and we see Boogie actually slap his bounty away, like he's aware that something's in front of him. Also, Boogie. Oh, Boogie, it's amazing. I love Boogie. Ah, and I will say, with there's a scene in this live action adaptation that gives me a lot of hope for one of my favorite scenes in One Piece. When Luffy stabbed, like they actually showed Luffy stabbing himself to give him a scar. That gives me hope for another big scene. Now, the reason why I thought they would take that scene out and they would possibly take out the other scene is because of the implications of self harm. If they had that scene in where Luffy as a kid stabbing his cheek, they might have the other scene. I don't want to go too much into it, but I have hopes that scene's in it, because that scene is by far one of my favorites. It is one of the most emotional scenes. There are three scenes. That scene I'm talking about in particular, the one with Nico Robin, the one with the Going Merry, Ace. Okay, there are four big emotional scenes for me within One Piece, and that scene is ranked number one, with the Going Merry being number two. So I have to hope they do not mess with that scene, because it is so emotional for Nami's character, and it speaks, and it's just the way Luffy interacts with her is so amazing. Now, One Piece fans, you know the scene I'm talking about. Okay? You guys know. But, yeah. Now, as I said, we're now over an hour long in this video. Again, solid start to the live action. Love it. I'm going to be watching more of it. However, very soon I have to go collect my brother from school. So, yeah. That video is going to have to wait. But yeah, I'm going to be watching episode 2 after I collect my brother, after I make sure he has his lunch. And, well, maybe his dinner. Actually, no, I'm ordering his dinner tonight. Anyway, once I'm done with that, I'll be back to watch episode 2, and I'll be talking about episode 2. So, this is the Celtic Nerd, signing out. One name, one sky.